Hey everyone, so in this video I am going to be tearing down all 3 of my thriving saltwater aquariums to make room for 2 bigger saltwater aquariums that I'm going to build on this channel. And the reason I want to do this is because the room has started to look the same and I want some change. And another reason why I want to do this is because upkeep for 3 smaller saltwater aquariums isn't really my thing. It's still easy, but I know it's going to be a lot more simple if I have 2 larger aquariums, as the 10-gallon and the 20-gallon kind of get hard to clean after a while. So I'm going to be completely dismantling those 2 tanks, and I'm going to keep this 40-gallon here just how it is, except for take all of the livestock, all of the fish out of it, and put it into the new 40-gallon breeder aquarium. Another reason why I wanted to take down these tanks is actually because the 20-gallon was the tank I started with. After I got my first hold on the 20-gallon, I built the 10-gallon and received this 40-gallon. And I've had all of that up for around 2 years now. And when I built them, I wasn't that into the saltwater hobby. I was still getting into it. So all of the tanks, nothing's secured down, nothing is actually placed correctly. I did a lot of shear clips, I did a lot of just incorrect things that I want to fix in this build. But now that I have all that experience under my belt, I feel as though that I can truly turn this 40-gallon aquarium into a beautiful mixed reef system. So I really hope everyone enjoys the video, and let's get right into it. The first thing I had to do was fill this 40-gallon breeder with some salt water, and the way I did this, just because I didn't want to have to go through the cycling process, was I went to this tank over here and did a lot of water changes on it. So I got about 20 gallons out of this tank, and I actually put it straight back into here while doing a really big water change in this system. This system is actually going to be one of the 2 tanks I set up. I'm not going to be making this tank today, but the video will be out shortly of a whole revamp for this tank. But like I said, not the point of this video. Since I did that, I'm going to also be using the same sand from that build in the bottom, all of the same live rocks, everything like that is basically just going to be transferring the other system right into here. So that was the first step, and then once I had at least 20 gallons of water in here, I filled the rest off with some RODI water that I mixed with salt water, and I'll show that process off now. Like everything in saltwater, nothing is easy. So if you've kept freshwater tanks before, you know that you can just grab some water out of the tap, and most of the time, unless it's too acidic or something's wrong with your tap water, you won't have to do much more than put a little bit of water conditioner in there. But with saltwater, of course, like everything in the saltwater hobby, it's a little bit more difficult than that. So you need to use a certain type of water, and there's 2 main options that people use. So those options are going to be RODI water or distilled water. And the reason that you have to use RODI water or distilled water is because they have 0 ppm, or the water is closer to 0 ppm. And what ppm is parts per million. I'll put a little bit more info up just because I can't remember everything off the top of my head right now. Now that I've told you guys what this system is, let me show you how to use it. So simply by turning on the water of my faucet here, water is going to be sent from this tube up into the top and through all of these separate filtration units. And after the water has run through all of that, that's when it will drip out into whatever reservoir you have. This was a $60 RODI system from Amazon, and I would highly recommend it if you can find the same one. Once I get the 5-gallon jug filled with RODI water, that is when I can actually start mixing the salt for this tank. I know a lot of people have seen this before, but this is for anyone who hasn't. You will know you're done mixing once you can see your whole mixing stick at the bottom of your bucket and there is no more salt residue at the bottom. Everyone, quick pause for safety real quick. So when you're working in a reef tank, as much moving that I've been doing around, you should always be wearing gloves. You should always be wearing some sort of PPE, sanitizing your hands, everything like that, just because polytoxin is a very real thing and minor amounts of it can cause illness and you can get a lot of bad things happening because of it. So zoanthids, these corals over here, have a toxin that could be lethal to humans, but luckily there has never been a case of someone dying because of working inside their aquarium with zoanthids. So I think I'll be fine, but just in case, I'm gonna throw this in the video. All of my subscribers get this tank if I go, so you guys, come on, subscribe. By day 10, this tank was looking absolutely gorgeous. Everything was working exactly how I wanted it to, such as the pink mushrooms in the back there for a pop of color, the Kenya trees super far forward so that it would give the appearance that you're looking back into a coral garden behind them. That was one of my favorite things that I wanted to encapsulate for this build. Enough about the corals. I am going to quickly go over a livestock list of this tank, and instead of saying all the names of the fish and inverts like I've been trying to do for 30 minutes, I'll throw up a image on screen now and pause the video if you need, but this is everything I keep in the tank, and I could not be happier with all of the livestock that I have chosen. Everything has been working beautifully so far. Just as important as all of the fish are, I will talk about the lifeline of this tank, all of the equipment that's going to keep it running for years. You'll notice that I'm not running a refugium on this tank, as I truly believe that they are just an extra hassle, as I know they do have a ton of benefits. I just personally am not going to be using one, as I believe you can get just as good as success, and I have gotten just as good as success with just doing constant water changes and testing your water always. Before we end off this video, there's a couple final touches for this tank that I think are going to make it pop a little bit more, so I'm going to get those done and show you the process as I do it. This build took me longer than anything else has on this channel, and I think the work reflects that. I am so satisfied with the look of this tank, and it's only going to look better as it grows in and settles out more. But if you guys enjoyed this video, I have a lot more things coming on the channel, so stay tuned. And before I let you go completely, I'm going to show you some shots of the tank. Thank you guys so much for watching.